I'm Sam Root. This is the Tom Rowland podcast, and we've gone back a long ways.
Sam, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, man, it's good. I'm down in Miami, where I know whereabouts you used to live down here in the Keys, but other than that, it's going pretty good, man.
Right on. So Miami, that's when I first met you, it was Apollo Beach, Sam.
That's why I used to live in Apollo Beach. So I'm not going to change my name. It's still Apollo Beach Sam,
Oh, it
actually.
is still.
My
But
email, it is. Yeah, it is.
you have some other accounts. I see. Where is Sam Root? I see
Yeah,
some other accounts.
I find, how all this digital marketing and social media stuff, they want like little pigeonholes for everything that you do. And the fishing part, I try to keep it separate from my traveling and all the other stuff part. It's hard to keep up with them all, Tom. You know that.
Well, I'll tell you what is a lesson for me is that I should pigeonhole all my stuff because I just all bundle it all together and it doesn't work as well.
No, it
Like the
does not.
like the
I
fitness
see
stuff, the
your
fishing
fitness in
stuff.
there, your fishing, your podcast,
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
yeah, it's everywhere, but it finds its way and finds its home, and eventually, it kind of works. But you, what have you been up to since? I mean, our history is that we go back a long way. You and David McLeaf were the first photographers that we ever had come on the show and help us with taking pictures from the camera boat and things, and that was really cool. That was a totally new thing for us. I saw the future of social media, knowing that we needed that type of content, and just it was pretty cool to do that with you for a few years. But what have you been doing since then? Been all
Yeah,
over,
that was what 2008, 2009 or something.
probably, maybe even
Back
seven.
then I wasn't even in the industry. You're the one that found me on a random forum somewhere and hit me up, and I used to watch your show, and you actually got me started into the being in the business of the fishing industry, right? So from then, oh my God, how many years is that ago?
That's
Almost 20 years, man.
I know can you believe that?
Oh
It's
my God.
amazing. Since then, David McLeaf has babies and
Yeah,
all
he's
kinds
got
of things.
babies. He's got married. I I uh I went the opposite direction. I got divorced and moved down to Miami now. So right now, what I'm doing as my current job is I work for a company called Pure Fishing, which is literally the largest fishing specific company in the world, and and I've been with them since 2022. Uh, it's great to be in industry, and as you know, the more you get involved in the industry, the less you actually fish. You get to
Yes,
talk about it a lot.
that's right. You can talk about it. You can write about it. You can do videos about it. But a lot of times you don't get to fish. But that's the same thing as when you're a fishing guide. Um,
Yep.
as soon as you become a successful fishing guide, you almost fish zero
No,
yourself
you
personally.
babysit a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So the uh, the path that you've been on, you've really seen a lot of twists and turns in the social media landscape as it um, pertains to fishing. Where do you see how do you see that things have changed since
You
you
know, the,
first started doing like where you're talking about where I found you was like on a forum, and I
yeah,
still
there
even
was no social media back then.
I know no social media, and that forum, you came down, you shot some photos, then you wrote an article on this forum, and it did really well to today's standards, I think. You know, and that was kind of the way chat rooms, forums, and that's totally changed into something that we're at the place where we are today as far as social media. What do you think have been the biggest changes?
Oh, the biggest changes is the gatekeeping that used to exist. We saw a little bit of back then with the forums and everything, but still the big four was still like what televisions, radio, magazines, newspaper, and probably three quarters of that stuff is pretty much gone, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't exist anymore. And now pretty much anyone in the industry, if the market, which is the people, like your product, you will grow as you could you probably you're on the bleeding edge of this stuff. I can see you see a lot of what do you call it, how the business end of it plays out, and I know you keep an eye out all this stuff, TikTok, Instagram, the short videos, the long videos, the online stuff. I see the most changes. This is a guess, obviously, because this marketing social media concept is new to almost everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
now is how to figure out algorithms, how to hack all that stuff, which is, to be honest with you, lots of damn work. So, because it's changing so freaking fast, right? 1 minute they want short videos, 1 minute they want long video, 1 minute they want long podcasts, 1 minute they want little snippets of 10 seconds. You look at your analytics, you're like, nobody watches more than 3 seconds. Why am
Mm-hmm.
I making 1 minute videos? I see the most changes in the gatekeeping, to be honest with you, as far as like uh, I don't know if it's a good thing because the attention span of the people is getting so small now. Me myself included, I can barely watch a 10-second video now without scrolling if they don't catch my attention within the first couple of seconds. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you feel the same way. It's
Yeah.
like they train you.
Yeah. But I feel like, like what you were saying is like as the attention span for shorter and shorter and shorter things happen, you also see the attention span for longer and longer and longer things happen. Like the most popular podcast in the world is a 3-hour podcast. And people listen to that like every single day, but also it's like one or the other. It's either like 3 hours or 3 seconds, it seems like to me. But I wonder, like in your situation, what you've been doing and how you're working. Well, how did you end up working for Pure Fishing, and what do you do
Well,
there?
so this has been a long road. I started with like a 2 megapixel Nikon camera before digital camera even existed, and that's how I got my footing in the industry. Right, this is when camera phones started showing up back then. So I would figure out how to post pictures with all my forum posts. So when social media came around, I had a stack of photos and stuff already. So that helped me got my way in the industry, helped me get noticed by you, made friends with David McLeaf, the magazines. So it helped me a lot. Of course, now everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has the ability to do podcasts, to do uh, videos, social media, TikTok, CapCut, all this stuff that's available out there. I got in the industry early, but then again, it's like almost everything else in life, right? If you're the first to the market, you get a little more advantage. If I had to start all over now from here, it's going to be a tough road. You got to find your way in. I got here because I was in the game early and I had value, just like you're talking about when you 3 hour podcast, Joe Rogan, all this stuff is like long, but he brought value to the table. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I bring value to the table for, say, Pure Fishing because I create content in the marine sports fishing industry, which is actually quite valuable these days because, you know, budget restraints and all that stuff. Instead of hiring a marketing company to pay $100,000 for a video, it's just my cost of doing business, going out there, doing the edit and shooting and everything. So that's where I'm at today. I create content for Pure Fishing for all their brands, all the brands they want me to do, obviously.
Interesting. And so, how has the marketing of products with social media changed in your opinion? I mean, you're in the thick of it. You're the one that's actually making the content for the largest fishing company on the planet, and you've seen, I'm sure, many evolutions of what drives sales, what drives engagement, what drives, well, the bottom line is sales, right? If it's not selling
Yeah,
product, then that company's
none
not
of
going to
this
want to
exists.
do it anymore. So, what do you think has? Where are we right now with what sells product as far as content?
What sells products? The only thing that I can see that has a massive impact is when you come out with the new product. Because everybody that's a fishing geek that's gonna try it first, all the social media people, all the marketing people is looking for new products. And that's how it starts, right? So you can come out with almost any video as long as it's about the new product. And that's a phase, obviously, because once the new product gets worn off, now you got to actually the product actually got to work, and you got to have the right people talking about it. So credibility is a big part of it. If you, I noticed just from my analytics of high end $100,000 videos to a video of somebody throwing a damn lure in a pond and showing the action. I tell you, the high end production video, even though they look freaking awesome, they don't get as much love, especially
Mm-hmm.
after the new product phase of it has worn off.
Why do you think that is? I was just having the same conversation with Rob. An interesting. We both kind of had the same idea. I'm wondering why you think that is.
Okay,
That the high
my
end doesn't
angle,
work.
I've got a pretty strong opinion of this because I look at myself as consumer too, because I started off as a fishing guy, right? And once you get behind the scenes of how everything's done, how everything is shoot, how the marketing people talk, how the sales guys talk, you come to the point in your fishing career, as well as I do, you can probably catch fish on almost anything that was thrown in your face.
I've
Almost
seen you
anything.
catch fish on fried chicken.
Exactly. So everything's based on marketing. So people are getting wise to a lot of this stuff and they say, man, I don't want to get sold another gadgets and the more fancier the video gets, unless they're already looking for that product, right? If it's a brand new thing, they just don't want to be sold to. And the higher end the video looks, the more marketing it looks like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I see like on Instagram now, 50% of your feed when you scroll through is freaking ads. Same thing on TikTok. I scroll those things so freaking fast, it's ridiculous. But when I see an organic one of a scene on a damn security camera that's about to happen, something crazy is about to happen, I stop a little bit. Okay, what's going to happen? Nothing's getting sold to me. There's actually an event. But once I start seeing the boat backing in, the water droplets coming off the trailer, and the slow motion water coming off the reel, I move on. Unless it's something I'm interested in.
Yeah. One of the things that we were talking about too, kind of interesting, is that like it's one thing for the appetite of the people, but the people they have to see it, right? And so there's another player, the algorithm, the platforms, the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, whichever one you're going to be on. They play a major part in this too. And so one of the theories was that the higher end videos don't get pushed. In fact, they get throttled because maybe those platforms are like, well, this is obviously a business doing this, and they should pay, right? Like they should pay for distribution.
After all, it is a business, right? And they want you to pay. But even when you do pay, your engagement is next to nothing, even if you do pay. So if that was the case, then we should get more engagement, more watch time when you do pay. And on YouTube, whereas you can upload the highest end video you want, a lot of the high end video, they don't get a lot of love there either.
Right, they don't.
It's
been a real challenge on YouTube for us with the full length TV show because they just never have done that well.
They don't get a lot of legs. They don't.
No, they don't. I don't know why.
Well,
because they've done great on TV.
Look at the new character. I watch a lot of totally not endemic with the fishing stuff. I watch a lot of food travel stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's people, they get so many millions of views on shorts, but when they make a long form video, they get like 2,000. They put so much effort into transitions and locations and camera angles and edits, and it's a freaking 30-minute video, they get hardly anything. So, but they throw up a freaking 30-second short, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, so much engagement too.
Right, but I wonder, like I had on our YouTube channel, it was we put shorts on there, and I've heard other people talk about this, that the short actually hurts the channel if you have a short that does really, really well. And so then I started another channel, it's all shorts, and that one don't put anything on there but shorts. And if you put a longer video on there, it doesn't do anything at all. But the shorts will do really well. And it's like that, I don't know, it seems like YouTube just needs to understand what this channel is. It's not watching it, it's just like getting the data, and they just have to be
it's not even watching the video, it's watching the interaction to the video.
Right.
Yeah.
But so, like if you have hour-long videos and then you put a short up there and your watch time on an hour-long video is 15 minutes, or the average time. Maybe you have a really great one, and it's like you have an average time of 30 minutes, which would be incredible, right?
Yeah, that'd be
And then,
incredible. That's unheard of.
but then you put a short up there, and you're getting 100,000 views on the long form, and then you get 1 million views on this short, but they're only staying for 15 seconds. But the video is 15 seconds, so they're watching the entire video.
Right.
But
Which is
this
unheard of.
is how it's been. This is how it's been explained to me: is that 15-second watch time wrecks your other average watch times.
Yeah, it's quite possible, but then again, the video is only 15 minutes, so it's 100 based on percentage, it's 100% watch time.
Right.
So
that's what you would think.
It could be also that the age demographics too, right? The younger kids have short attention span, and they're more apt. The people who subscribe to you because it's shorts will stick to shorts because that's their thing, whereas the people that subscribe to you for long form gonna watch the long form, which is these days are not as many.
No, it's not. So, and that food travel, and then you have some of your own travel. Where have you been that you've really had a interesting trip lately?
I've been to a lot of places since we last spoke. Really, one of my favorite places to go to is like Indonesia.
Really?
For the simple reason that it's 17,000 islands out there, and there's literally places that people have never even fished with the rod and reel, maybe hand line, stuff like that. But to be honest with you, fishing at these remote locations where you actually got to ask the tribe, because every island has a little local tribe, you got to get an interpreter to come with you to get permissions and so on and so forth. Every place will be on fire one day, and the next day it's dead. So it's fishing. Exactly. Fishing is the same almost everywhere you go. I learned that here in the Everglades. I fished the Everglades. Some days it's just ridiculous. Fish are jumping in the boat. The next day you go out there, it's guaranteed. Not quite the same for whatever reason. The wind changed, the bait disappeared, so on and so forth. It could shut down just like it did, here as it is in Indonesia on some island I had to take 30 hours to travel to.
Well, how much time have you spent over there?
I've done like 4 trips over there. I've done mothership trips. I met some friends. I go with the local guys to go over there too. I find that if I go to the non-sophisticated one with the local guys, I catch fish, but I don't catch as many trophy fish because, some of these countries, they overfish. There's no regulations and stuff. Whereas the mothership trip was organized, you get to go more remote locations and you get better fish. But then again, it costs a lot more money too than going with a regular guy.
What kind of fish are you fishing for over there?
Well, GTs is very popular over there. Coral trout. Yes. There's this thing called they call it Spanish mackerel, but it looks more like
it's like a wahoo. I caught those in Australia. They call them Spanish mackerel. They're an incredible eating fish.
Water. It tastes
incredible fantastic. Eating fish.
Yeah, incredible eating fish. Of course, all the coral trout and what else we caught? Caught a lot of GTs. They love GTs over there.
Do you trigger
fish? To me, it's just a giant check.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I just got back from the Seychelles, and I was humbled to a big degree because I treated them like a giant jack, and they're not a giant jack, especially not there. I mean, we tend to throw much closer to Jack Crevalle on the back of a ray than a giant trevally appreciates or likes or tolerates. And it took me a couple of days to understand a couple of things. One, the water is much clearer there. Two, I think that the eyesight of the giant trevally is superior to the Jack Crevalle. And three, a giant trevally, when it turns on its aggression, it is incredibly aggressive, but it's also shy, almost like a permit. That was my experience anyway, is that if you threw too close to the fish, you weren't getting bit. I mean, they would just take off, and sometimes they would just take off just like they just had another place to go. They wouldn't just bolt away. They would just kind of like, oh, I don't like it here anymore, and they would take off. And this is a place like you're talking about that gets very, very little pressure. very, very little pressure. And so if they noticed something that they didn't like, they would just kind of, they wouldn't bite. They would just kind of just ease off. Now, when we first got there, the worst fly casters in the group caught the biggest fish right away. And what was happening was, is they were, it was a little bit windy. They were throwing, the fly would go out, and then it would, go way off to the side. And the guide's like, leave it, leave it, leave it, strip, strip, strip. And these fish, and I had not seen this. I didn't get to see anybody do this, but the fish was coming 40 and 50 feet to eat this fly. Now I'm throwing right into the fish. They don't like that. They didn't like that at all. And the guides were trying to be nice and everything. They're like, you're a good caster, but you got to cast further away from the fish. Okay. But I thought I was casting further away. Okay. Well, 2 fish lengths away, 3 fish lengths, 4 fish lengths, 5 fish lengths. And then when I finally saw it happen, I threw so far away from the fish, twitched the fly one time, and this fish comes at full speed as fast as they can swim. I'm telling you, 60 feet away, and crushed this fly. Crushed it. And after that, I was like, oh, like, you need to throw way away from the fish. Like, not even anywhere close to it.
They want to find it. They don't want to
find it. They do not want to see it. They don't want you to see it. Yes, that's a great way to put it, is they want to be able to find it. And a Jack Crevalle does too, but I just think that even though our water looks clear, like I had some GoPro footage from the Seychelles where, I was wearing a chest GoPro, and sometimes you'd wade deep and it would go underwater, and then you come back up. And I looked at that after the fact, and the water through the water is incredibly clear. Where in the Keys, the water's clear from the top down, but if you get in and you're actually snorkeling or whatever, or looking with a GoPro, there's a lot of particulate matter in the water that they didn't have over there. And so while it looks clear and you can see the fish, it's not as clear looking, like when you're going scuba diving, like they'll say, you have 100 feet of visibility or 50 feet of visibility or 200 feet of visibility, whatever. There, the water is just so crystal clear with no sediment, no particulate matter at all in the water. So clear. It was amazing.
I think that has to do with a lot of the estuary, right? Because pretty much the Keys and Everglades are pretty much an estuary with a lot of runoffs and stuff, a lot of nutrient in the water. Where over there, Indonesia, Australia, Seychelles, it's just rocks, not a lot of stuff floating around.
Well, we did have turtle grass where we were fishing. It was very, very thick turtle grass, but I don't know why. I don't know why the water's just clearer there. Like you can go to the Bahamas and different places, and the water will be clearer than it is.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah, very clear. But I enjoy those trips. What do you think you like the travel, getting over there, as much as when you actually get there and fish? Like, you seem like you're a guy that likes the entire experience. You like the food.
Oh yeah, I like the experience. I like the experience, the culture, and all that stuff, and it's a good story to tell. It's one thing to be teleported somewhere and you skip everything. That'd be great if you just went to fishing, but you miss all the other stuff, the stuff you really remember. Because one time we got caught in a storm. It took us freaking 28 hours in a boat to get back to shore because we were in this rickety old mothership. And the boat was creaking and stuff. We had to cut the boat off and leave them in the water because it was flipping over every time the wave hits. So stuff like that you would miss.
Well, you're lucky you make it back from something like that too sometimes.
Oh yeah, we were like 120 miles from the nearest shoreline. So Dang. We were like a little sketchy out there. Nobody out there except us, Didn't
on
see
a trip like that where you're kind of in a sketchy situation, sketchy boat. What's the food situation when you're on a trip like that?
We that mothership, we pretty much, when it's sketchy like that, we ate instant noodles.
Not even fish,
instant noodles and boiled eggs is pretty much our sustenance for a couple of days because it was just too rough to do anything, fancy out there.
Right.
And those guys in Indonesia, man, they know how to do it in those situations. High respect for those guys.
And so how do they do it in that situation? How do you even cook noodles and boiled eggs?
You cook like little portions like this, that way you can control it. So every person gets a little couple of packets of noodles, and they'll just open an egg, let it cook for a couple seconds, and that's how you do it.
Hmm.
It's pretty simple.
What do you think the strangest culinary adventure you've been on one of these long trips like that? If you had to eat local food that you were unsure of?
You know what? I'm always been pretty adventurous as far as local food is concerned. I did wake up one day and we were in this area called Fak, West Papua New Guinea,
Whoa.
and the guy showed up with a bag of eggs, like 100 of them, and it's all sea turtle eggs, which is totally illegal, illegitimate. But what am I gonna say, right? I'm a guest, and it's actually pretty good. That was excellent. It's like a small quail egg looking thing, but it's round,
Mm-hmm.
and 90% of it was yolk instead of the other way around.
The white
Was
part. Yeah.
90% of it yolk, very buttery and all that stuff. So when you cook it, it's actually soft shell. You bite it open and you just squeeze it in your mouth, and it's like a soft, very creamy, soft boiled egg.
You ate them raw.
No, no, they simmered over some low heat for a few minutes,
Okay.
and then you eat them like that.
Wow.
And then coconut crabs, those giant coconut crabs you
Yeah.
see, those were excellent. They were like stone crab with a hint of coconut.
I've heard those are really good. Now those will bite the stew out of you. Those coconut crabs.
Yeah, luckily they're slow though. They're slow. Their claws are gigantic if you get a hold of them because they're strong enough to open a coconut. So they're basically are pretty strong. But
That's
yeah,
incredible.
nothing crazy that I had to do. You know, turtles and stuff like that. I just eat what the locals eat. You know, well, me being Asian kind of helped because I freaking has had a lot of food like that in my life. You know.
Yeah. But still though, you're not equipped a lot of times for the different foods with your digestive system, and certainly the water. The water can be sketchy. Like I know that when we went to Christmas Island, a lot of the people on both, I've been there twice, and both the trips, a number of people came down with at least a day worth of not feeling good at all, and it was from the water.
Was it bottled? Because
Well,
everything we had was bottled.
right, of course, that's what you should do. But
Yeah.
a lot of times people will forget, and even on the first trip that I went there,
Uh,
I didn't think about this, but the ice, that's the water,
yeah, yeah,
right? So if the ice is in the cooler and you have something, and you, even if you take, there's water on the top of a can or something, you don't wipe that off, that
yeah.
could be enough to make you sick. The shower, you're getting water in your mouth. You shouldn't do that. Some people would wake up and just kind of forget, and they would go brush their teeth, with the water that they had running water in the place. It's just you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't want to drink it, right? And so, um, and also like fruit or anything like that, if it had been around the water or in the cooler or something like that, you could get enough to make you not feel very good.
Yeah,
Um,
you know, fortunate, well,
coffee,
fortunate,
coffee's
unfortunate.
another one because they're making
Coffee,
the coffee with the water.
yeah, but it boiled. It shouldn't have been be
Well,
good.
I think that, yeah, if it boils, but a lot of times maybe the coffee's not boiled. Like it's like
Instant
just
coffee
kind
or
of
something like
warm,
that.
right? Well, that's what I did. I brought the
Yeah.
instant coffee, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to warm it up, so I brought those little instant Vio things from Starbucks or whatever, or Black Rifle Coffee, and you just pour it in the bottle, in a bottle of water, and just drink cold coffee. That's what I would do. But that's a lesson I learned because I drank hot coffee with the water made from something that makes you sick.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with most things like that. So you kind of like you yourself likes to fly fish, right? So
Well, I
you
mean, I like it, but it's not everything. I prefer. I mean, I like going and fishing with best available. I mean, for a long time in my career, it was all fly,
right,
but
all fly.
anymore, I mean, even like this latest trip I took to the Seychelles, I would have really liked to have had a spinning rod there, but they didn't allow it. They didn't allow spin fishing,
Ah,
and so, but you would catch a lot more fish. I mean, a lot more fish.
you'll cover a lot more ground, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean, I kind of like, I don't know anymore. I just think they're all a tool. Fly rod's a tool, and I'll be happy to fly fish when the fly fishing's good, but I don't have to by any stretch. I mean,
yeah,
I'm,
of course.
I'm
I
plenty
mean,
happy
fly
to just
fishing,
spin
you just
fish.
make things harder to challenge yourself. But but I've been to. Well, speaking of Rob Chapman, I've traveled with him to the Bahamas to fish with him for 4 or 5 days for bonefish. We would just walk the water for bonefish.
Mm-hmm.
I would bring a fly rod like a 7 weight, and he would bring a spinning rod with a jig head and some old shrimp, right? And he couldn't believe that I was catching more fish than him on the fly rod.
Mm-hmm.
So because we're fishing so shallow, even those dumb bonefish in the Bahamas, right? The presentation, even with that bloop, they are aware now something's going on. With
Right.
the fly, you can hit them over and over, and they'll eat it. They're not spooked because of the fly landing. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a tool that changes everything,
And
especially
those are the
fishing shallow
situations
water.
where I like to fly fish, when fly
What's that?
fishing is the best. And there
Yes.
are, like, there's the same thing goes on out west, when you're on a western trout river and there's a hatch going on. You could have somebody with bait next to you, and you've got a fly rod and all the right flies, and you're going to outfish them 100 to 1, and they can't figure it out. But then there's other times when that is not the way to go. And you know, I don't know. I I mean, like I would say I definitely prefer to throw crabs at a permit than to fly at a permit these days. Um, I like catching them, and when you do
You
it
still
right,
make it out there to the Marquesas for permit
yeah,
fishing?
yeah, yeah, it's still pretty good. It's still
Yeah.
pretty good. But that I don't know. I like what's best. Like, and if fly fishing's the best, then I'm good with it. And if spin fishing's the best, I'm fine with it. If trolling's the best, I'm
Especially
fine
when
with
you
it.
got to film a TV show, right?
Well, yes. Now that's a whole different deal because
You better
on
get it.
occasion we have had to fish, in a certain way for the show. But what we found early on is that, like, if you have a lure sponsor, or if you have something that demands that you have to fish this certain way, the fishing can be terrific, man. That doesn't mean they're going to be crushing lures.
No.
Like, you might be able to catch them on bait, you might be able to catch them on fly, but catching them on a lure could be a real challenge on a couple of days. And then on other days, the fly's the real challenge. And on other days, the bait's the real challenge, and they'd rather eat a lure. Like, there's all these different things. So we've kept our options open on the show, and it has helped us to be more efficient in the way that we film it. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like we're
I tell people a story all the time. Look, man, I've been on these shoots with Saltwater Experience guys. Sometimes it just sucks, and they just got to grind it out because everybody there, they got to get paid whether they catch fish or not. So,
that's
so
exactly
they
right.
bust their ass to freaking catch fish just to make the show, And sometimes
Yes.
the fishing sucks just like everybody else, just like everywhere else. Sometimes the weather comes in, they do the interviews that day, and they just figure it out. That's how you got to adapt to these things. So one of the things that bugs me the most working for some of these guys, these corporations that don't fish, don't know that's the case, they would give me like a shot list of crazy stuff they would like to see. And are you going to Canada? I would like to see a grizzly bear attacking a moose. So look, there's locals that live there all their life, never seen that stuff. You expect me to show up for 4 days and get this kind of stuff? No. I would like to have 50-inch muskies. Like 4 or 5 would be good. No, that's lifetime 10-pound bass territory. You know.
Well, that brings in a good segue to where we are today with content creation and the use of AI. And so it is
Oh,
possible probably now that you could create a grizzly bear attacking a moose that would look so good that you'd barely be able to tell. I mean, somebody with a
especially when they
discerning
show for
eye.
like 3 seconds.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
where do you think we're going with that? How much are you using AI?
I use AI quite a bit, even though I'm not to the point where I'm actually paying for it. Right now, it's pretty much wild, wild west. Everything's kind of free. You got to figure it out, kind of thing. I use AI to fix my photos, uh, for stills for sure, especially if
Hmm.
too cropped in. Okay, I need more sky here. It used to be a pain in the ass to actually create more sky that matches to the
Right.
shadows and everything, right? Now you just regenerate, you get a great photo. Even like focus and stuff like that. The AI is not as good when it comes to fishing content because it doesn't have enough data, like
Mhm.
all the other stuff. I use AI to fix photos. I use AI to animate photos if you want like short clips and stuff. All the cool photos that we've ever taken out there, right? Doesn't matter where it is. The boat, the elephant running on the flats. I was just taking stills. but you can put that in there. They animate it. It's pretty close running the flats in a yellowfin boat back in the day.
Wow. What do you
So
use for that?
you can use Google
Mm.
Nano Banana.
Yeah, that's
You can
brand
actually
new.
drop the photo. It'll make like a high res 1080p clip of your clips for like 7 seconds of
Wow.
running the flats. That's plenty good enough for social media clips and B rolls and
Sure.
commercials.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I haven't
So,
done that yet with the Nano Banana. I've seen it, and I've seen some
oh,
of
there's
the
plenty of
clips
them
that
doing it
they're.
now. Yeah.
I'm seeing some of the clips that are coming out of that, and I don't know. It's just amazing what is going on with that, and where we're going with it. Because I feel like the first people that start to use it are going to be able to use it successfully for a little while, and then I feel like people are going to be like, "No, that's AI," and just like, mm-mm.
It's kind of like the YouTube channels now, right? There's so many YouTube channels that's AI narrated, AI created. I block every single one
Mm.
because it's pretty much the same damn narration, a lot of times the same voice, and it's just so monotonous and boring just to get their 5 to 10 minute ad space in to go the ad to get the revenue, and it's just a
Right.
waste of your time. Very repetitive, stolen clips. So I just block every single one. Do not show this channel ever again. It's too much.
Yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
I'm there. I get all these ads on Instagram about these like courses that you can buy that you can see how to make a faceless YouTube channel. And this guy made $10 million last year, and he never showed his face on YouTube. I get those kind of ads all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the case like back in the day when it
Right.
was kind of new. Now it's next to impossible. I've seen a lot of AI channels and I click on them just to see the data. They get like 1,000 subscribers, you know? A
Hmm.
lot of effort for only 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so what do you got going on this year? You got any more trips? They send
You know
you
what? I do not
places?
have any more trip except for I do have something scheduled for the middle of December to shoot some stuff for Berkeley, I believe, up in Tampa. And that, but that's a driving trip. That's not a flying adventure kind of trip. You know I'm sure you've done this before, Tom. Have you been to the Amazon?
I have not been to the
Oh my
Amazon. That
God!
is a
Come
place
on.
that, yeah, I know it's a
Yeah.
huge hole in my fishing
Yes.
um, career, but I have, it kind of got to a place where I was like, yeah, I want to do that trip, but I also want to do some of these other trips like Alaska and different places. And then you just find yourself going one place and not the other. And, but I would love to go to the Amazon. Tell me about your Amazon experience.
Amazon trip I did to Colombia. You know, Colombia's been closed for a while because of the
Hmm.
drug cartel and all that stuff. So in the recent last 10 years, it's opened up to a lot of fishing last week. So I met this a guy that does a lodge experience in Colombia. So basically, you fly into Bogota, then you take a you take a 1 hour hopper flight to a small town, and then you take a 7 hour boat ride up the river,
Hmm.
and then you stay in this camp and use that as base camp to to fish different areas in small boats, right? You could do fly, you could do spin, you could do bait casting and all that stuff. I like this one location because you can have, just like every river and every, countries and areas, certain segments of the river favor certain species. I like this one because you can have a variety of species.
Hmm.
So besides the peacock bass, you can get the paella, the vampire fish.
Hmm.
You can get all these giant catfish. They have matrinxas, they have sarinatas, all this stuff that's in one location. And yeah, that's probably one of my favorite experience down in South America.
So in a trip like that, you got to take everything, right? All your tackle, or do they have anything for you?
No, they don't have anything. You bring all your tackle,
Yeah.
your travel tackle, which is basically just bass tackle, and they do have the obviously the food and accommodations. You basically stay in FEMA tents.
Hmm.
But now with the advent of like Starlink, you have
Right.
internet.
Right.
So you can communicate, send your pictures back, post all this stuff in the middle of the freaking jungle, 7 miles away from the nearest town.
Wow.
But
So, like, how heavy tackle do you need for some of those big catfish?
oh, the big catfish, you must They get 400 pounds, Tom.
I know. I've seen, I mean, I watch River Monsters some,
Yeah.
but I also see some stuff on Instagram of these giant catfish coming out from under these cut banks and just crushing these lures, which looks to be incredible. I would
Those
love
are
to see that.
European ones.
Yeah.
The one in the Amazon is murky water. They don't hit top water. You
Okay.
basically got to use bait to catch them on the bottom. But they get 400 pounds first of all, and there's a lot of sticks and branches and stuff randomly in the river because
Mm-hmm.
the river changes 20 feet every
Sure.
season, and there's a lot of stuff in the water. We went there 3 times. This location, we've yet to land anything over 50 pounds. All the bigger ones will cut us off,
Oh wow.
so we don't even get to see it.
Wow.
So,
You feel like you've hooked them though? Like
me
you can.
personally, no, but the other guy that was fishing for him a lot, he's hooked them. He'd bring like senators and stuff, and he
Yeah.
would just keep on going till they cut him off.
Mm, mm.
So you
Yeah.
you need pretty good gear and a lot of luck.
I would imagine so, but there, I like those type of locations, like what you're talking about, and that's a real special find to be able to have the variety because there seems to be a lot of places where you can go and just
Peacocks.
do peacock all day, GTs all day, bonefish all day, but to have a location to where like if the fish that you're after, like let's just say it's a bonefish, there are other things to fish for at that location. That's one of the things that I like so much about the Florida Keys is that yes, we have a lot of great fishing, but even like at the prime tarpon season, if for whatever reason you're not getting bites or whatever, there's a lot of other things you could go do. You could go offshore, you could go reef fishing, you could go patch reef fishing, you could go redfish and snook in the Everglades. Like it's always good to have that plan B. And there are locations where there aren't really many plan Bs. Now, you can have the very best, the very finest fishing in the world for like bonefish at a place where basically all you're going to do is fish for bonefish. But there are days when either you get tired of it or for whatever reason, it's
Well,
not
it's
happening.
kind of like ice cream. You can eat as much ice cream as you want, but after like a pound of ice cream, you're done. You don't want to see another ice cream for like a week, right? That reminds me of a location I fished in Argentina where we actually flew, God, 9 hours to Buenos Aires, then another 3 hours to another city, then drove 10 hours on a bus, and then 2 more hours on dirt road. And we came into these two huge man-made mountains, lakes in the mountains, and it's the most epic rainbow trout fishing you would ever. But they all were like 2 to 4 pounds, right? And it was so stupid. You would throw your fly out there, bend down to tie your shoes, and you have a bite.
So you went that far to catch the rainbow trout?
Yes, it was one of those things where I got an invite, want to try it out. But the problem was the fishing was so easy and stupid. You get tired of it, and after like 3 days of that, you said, I want to catch something else. I'm
Yeah.
bored. I want to go home.
And there's nothing else to do.
There's nothing else to do. You sit there. You don't have electricity. You don't have internet. Basically, you either fish or enjoy the scenery.
So is that like a high mountain cooler? I mean, obviously it must be. Why would they
Yes.
make those lakes there? Were they trying to farm them or something? But that seems so far out.
Yes,
But
they
it doesn't make
imported
sense.
them from England or something. This guy actually found this place and imported the fish over there, hoping to make a camp out of it. But it was so limited and it was so far away for such a limitation of fish. I don't think it panned out very well.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing there. The water was crystal clear. There was nothing there, and then he planted the fish there, and the fish got so plentiful because there was no predator. They were starting to get deformed.
Mm.
They were because there's no predator to eat the deformed fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that seems like a tremendous amount of travel. Do you think that's the longest amount of travel that you've had? What do you think the longest trip you've ever taken is?
Oh, that would be the Indonesia trip because it was 30 hours to get to Jakarta, but that was just the main airport city. Then it was 5 hours to West Papua New Guinea, and then there was 15 hours on a boat. Then you start to fish.
Wow. That has to be one of the most remote areas in the entire world.
It was. It was a company called Solid Adventure. They're still around. There's location GTS, and it's one of their experimental areas where they're not sure of the fishing yet. So we went out there and did that, and it was gorgeous. The water was crystal clear. It's one of the top diving destinations in the world. These islands out there, and every 2 days we'll move to a different island and fish in different locations.
Wow.
So it was amazing.
Wow. And so
Yeah,
that's
it's remote.
GTs mostly. Were there flats there, or mostly off?
There
Mostly.
were flats, but no one was really geared up to fish flat. So we saw a couple of flats, but nothing that I could say there were atolls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't really stop to fish those. We just throwing poppers and stuff like that, which is more successful when you have no idea what's out there.
Right.
Back then, this was 2016. I wasn't as keyed in on fishing as I am now. Because could you imagine the jigging you could do out there for these fish that's never seen a freaking lure?
Well, I can, because when we were in the Seychelles, we would fish the flats all
Oh, you
day.
did some jigging too?
Yeah, well, but they don't allow spinning rods, right? So
Okay.
there were no spinning rods. But these guides were like, hey, if you want to, on the way back, we can either go and look for sailfish out there, because apparently they have some sailfish, and we all brought some big flies for the sailfish. Or they were like, or we could see what's on the reef. And so what they did is they took your fly rod and they put a big egg sinker on your fly, and then you just paid out some line. It went down to the bottom of the reef.
Oh my God.
And we caught all kinds of fish, like wild fish. But what I just couldn't believe was that you just stopped anywhere,
Right.
and dropped a fly down, and you've got, all this. They're using like a straight piece of 50 is the leader, and your fly line, and this egg sinker, and just some fly that doesn't really look like anything. And basically every time you dropped it, when it got close to the bottom, you got a big bite. And there were all species of groupers and just the craziest fish. Like when you go someplace like that, everything that you catch is something you've never caught before, which
Yeah,
I
it was your
like.
PB.
I like. Yeah, I really like that. But it just made me think, when, like, that's probably how the Keys were, 200 years ago. Like, you just go out there and just drop anything down and you get a bite. But that was incredible. So imagine how effective it could be if you had jigs and a jigging rod, and you would catch everything. Like, but that's why they don't allow spinning rods. And you would also catch all of these GTs. And so I asked the guide, I was like, do you guys ever spin fish? And he's like, not anymore. We used to. I was like, okay, tell me about
they got
that.
to protect their assets, right? Because
Yeah, well,
it's probably too efficient.
what was going on is that, and it actually made sense to me. So there's just a mothership out there and one operation, and we were going to this area where there's very little pressure. So they said that they used to fish and they would catch, they would catch them all. They would catch them all. But not only that, it's the same thing that happens in the Keys with our schools of jacks. They would throw a lure, out there as far as you can throw it, 300 feet or whatever, and you're bringing this thing back in, and you're having GTs come from all different areas. You're bringing all of the GTs right to the boat, and you might get a bite or you might not, but all of those GTs have now been exposed to this boat and this fishing pressure, where with a fly, you are restricted to, and the size of these flies, even the best fly caster is going to be restricted to about 80 feet, because the flies are pretty big. And a lot of times you're wading waist deep. So to throw an 80-foot cast with a big fly, challenging. Most people are throwing like 40, but not that many come within 40 feet of you, right? So that's just where I was like, man, if we had a spinning rod, that one way out there, the water's so clear you can see them 200 feet out there. Like, that one's done.
So
I'm gonna catch that.
The Everglades, I'd imagine, back in the day would be insane too. I've also noticed in the Everglades that, just in the small amount of time that I've been there fishing this area for the last 10 years, the fishing pressure has been so enormous. Even with the COVID, when everything was shut down, everybody and their mother had a boat and went fishing. And the fishing slowed down quite a bit. thankfully I figured it out. I'm catching fish and all that stuff now. But I dare say half the people don't hardly catch anything out there. You actually got to know what you're doing out there now.
Mm.
You can't
Well,
just show up and catch 100 snook anymore. I'm sure you noticed that too.
well, the snook fishing seems to be as good as it's ever been. What I noticed in the Everglades, and what actually brought us back together here to do this podcast, was the video that you posted of someone releasing a tarpon, and there's a big what looked like a bull shark, could have
Yeah.
been a tiger. I think it might have been a tiger shark. I don't know what you think it was. Kind of looked like a tiger to me. Underneath the tarpon, like right there when you're
Yeah.
releasing it.
I just
So
looking at the guy.
yes,
Yeah.
and very. I mean, that's what I've noticed more than anything is the incredible increase in sharks in the Everglades, around the Keys, everywhere you go, and I've been talking about this for years, that this has been going on. And at first, people were like, no, it's just that these sharks are getting smarter, and they come to the boat. Okay, I get that, but I could leave the dock anywhere in the Keys, and I could go 2 hours in any direction, and it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense because I've done some deep water stuff, 700 feet, 500 feet. They're out there too. They're
They're
not
everywhere.
smart sharks in the freaking deep water out there. Sharks are to the point. Okay, so we fish, I've been on your boat fishing and all that stuff for like 15 years ago. There's way more sharks now.
Well, we would never
actually
we
had to
would
go
never
find
get
sharks
sharked like
back
that
then. Now they just show up anywhere, there's sharks.
anywhere.
So, and in the last 5 years, you can barely land a freaking snook. A big snook will actually pulling drag because the shark, especially when they come out of the water and do head shake, the sharks are on them like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the summertime when they're on the beach.
Well, there's a lot of different opinions about what's going on. Chris Fisher was on the podcast, and he seems to think that this is a sign of a healthy fishery, that the sharks wouldn't be in those numbers and as aggressive as they are if there weren't plenty of things for them to eat, and that they are thriving, and the fishery is thriving, the bait's thriving, everything is thriving. And I tend to agree with that. I feel like you can't have this giant population of sharks without a giant population of things for them to eat. And it does seem like that. It does seem like the fishing is, in so many places, as good as I've ever seen it, although you have to navigate the sharks. And
yeah, I don't agree that the shark got smarter. Maybe some of the inshore bigger fish, I get it, there's going to be anomalies. But in general, I don't think it's definitely they got smart. I know people that go to the elbow, okay, and they can barely land a fish because there's so many sharks swarming the boat.
mm-hmm.
As soon as they come out of the bottom, it's gone. So they're not educated shark out there in 800 feet of water.
Right. Had on the day that you shot that video where you're releasing that tarpon, had you seen other sharks?
I seen other sharks, yes. This is also shark hour, sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, how could you not see that? They don't understand that during that moment in time, the sun was going down. I'm wearing polarized glasses, and I had to change the contrast on that video just so I can show it on video. Because if you would just normally look at it, you could barely even see what's underneath that fish.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm aware of the shark problem, I'm literally keeping an eye out for it. But that shark was so stealthy, he just faded in and faded out. So
well, it's easy not to see it. I mean, if you haven't done a lot of flats fishing, you might not understand this. But if you're standing just on the deck and you're looking out, and somebody's saying, "Well, there's a redfish right there," you don't see it, and then you stand up on the cooler and you get 2 feet higher, you're like, "Oh yeah, I see it now." But just that little bit of height and just the angle of the camera versus the angle of someone's head, holding that tarpon, you don't see that.
It changes everything.
Changes everything, especially in that low light.
Yeah. And speaking of smart sharks, that shark that came up, whether it's a tiger or bull, I have no idea. He's been around boats before because he looked at the guy's hand and something's different with that fish. He can't just eat it. He didn't eat it. He slid away. Something's wrong with his fish. So that he knew something was wrong. This doesn't look right. I shouldn't eat it.
Well, I mean, there's there have been a lot of people. I mean, you probably saw the video of the guy in the Everglades just releasing a redfish and then just going down to get a little water on his hands and
Yep.
wash his hands off, and his pinky touches the water and the shark grabs the side of his hand. I mean, it just touched the water for a millisecond,
Oh
and
yeah,
it changes
that's probably
everything,
thought
man.
releasing a fish.
Bro,
So a lot of these little snook, the sharks would actually hang. I can see it on my side scan. They
Mhm.
literally circle the boat. When you
Yes,
start catching these little snook, they're making all these little. And luckily, the little snook, I can just flip in the boat and let them go on the other side of the boat. That way, it's not right there in the fish's mouth, right? So
right.
what I also find that if I would put my landing net in, put literally the little snook in the landing net, they won't come near it.
Mm.
They can sense the aluminum around the boat, around the fish. So they're not like dumb man eater and all that stuff. If you want to spook the fish and the shark, you know, I don't even go to the Everglades now without a landing net.
Yeah,
It's just too sketchy to try to land a big fish with your hands.
I'm telling you, man.
But
It's
the aluminum, they'll scare them away. I did
yeah,
the experiment. I said, okay, you know, it's just a mesh between the fish and the shark, and they stayed away.
yeah. I believe that. That they I don't know. They I've never
They got
had
a
one
sense.
eat the landing net, but I think they probably will. If you get them riled up enough, they will eat that. They will eat the landing
Oh,
net.
I had a cobia landed on the boat, um, and we landed the cobia so fast. The fish was so pissed off, he hit my trolling motor and broke the bracket off my boat. That was like a $4,000 trolling motor. I had to freaking get it fixed, you know.
Wow.
But yeah,
Thank,
they're
thanks,
ravenous,
Shark.
teeth
Okay.
marks and everything everywhere.
All right, Sam. We're closing in on time here. I want to ask you some questions,
Yeah,
rapid fire,
yeah, man.
and let's see where we go with this. So, you said the furthest destination that you've ever been was, say it
It
again.
was probably a 45-hour trip before we actually fished.
Okay. The
West Papua New Guinea.
what is the shortest trip that you've ever experienced, some of the best fishing that you've ever had?
Oh, right here in the Everglades. You know that. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Look,
Okay.
the Everglades by far is the most convenient, best fishing you ever find, I would say, in the world,
Mhm.
because it's highly protected. The fishing is really good. Hell, even if you get to the gate, it's still a 4-minute drive to launch a boat. So, so it's highly protected, and all the modern convenience of internet, the hotels, the food. This is the best all-around fishing that I have ever experienced.
Okay. What is the worst trip you've ever been on?
The worst trip, which is not normally a worst trip, the year before we went to Panama, we had an epic trip. Then we said, okay, guys, let's invite everybody to this trip. Bring all the gear, the cameras and stuff. It was blowing 30-mile-an-hour winds. We caught jacks and needlefish for 5 days. It was blowing 30 miles an hour. We couldn't go anywhere for
Okay.
5 days
5
in the middle
days.
of nowhere.
What's the strangest fish that you've ever caught?
Wow. Let's see. Strange. I caught 5 different species at one time in the Amazon. There's over 3,000 species of catfish to us in the Amazon. From a little microscopic one to a 400 pounds one. We caught like just 5 of them, and they were amazing. Armored catfish and all kinds of stuff. I don't even know the name, because they were, these guys are Spanish and they're just telling me in Spanish names.
Mm-hmm. And then, if you had one trip that you've been on that you could replicate, which would it be?
I would have to be my first Indonesian trip.
What
For the
was special
simple
about
reason
that
it's so
trip?
remote. The scenery was so freaking awesome. And I was a total noob back then, never pop a fish, all that stuff, and I still caught fish. So if I can go back now, knowing the information that I have now, I would love to have that happen.
Okay. And one location you would like to go with all your travels that you've had. What's one place that's on your bucket list right now?
Yeah, whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, the Seychelles got to be in the top 5 because it's so remote and the fishing is so good. Oh my God, that's a tough one. You know, that I have never been, that I always wanted to go. Wow. You know what? I got one. It would be for dogtooth tuna in Papua New Guinea. Not West Papua New Guinea, East Papua New Guinea. Those giant 200-pound dogtooth tunas.
Mm-hmm. I got to see one of those. We caught one
Yeah.
while we were trolling. Well, we caught a few of them while we were trolling towards the location that we were going to go. We were just kind of slow trolling. It's how fast the mothership went. We just dropped some lines off the back, and we were able to catch one. Very strange fish. I didn't know, like, they're called a dogtooth tuna, but they're not really a tuna. And they're a very interesting fish. And I remember the first time I ever saw one of those was like on a Saltwater Sportsman cover, and Robert Trossett had gone on one of these long range trips, and they had set all these world records, and this was so long ago, and he had this huge dogtooth tuna, and the mouth was out front, and he was holding the tail up like this, and it was just this mouthful of teeth, and I just thought that was the coolest looking fish ever.
It is. I did catch one in West Papua New Guinea, but it was only about 10 pounds. So I wanted to get like the 100-pounder, you know?
Yeah.
They look vicious.
I think they are. It's incredible. Well, you've certainly had a great career of travel and content creation. We've certainly shared a number of your videos, and they always do really well. The tarpon jumping over the boat, that was incredible.
That was crazy. If I didn't have the camera on, nobody would believe me.
I know.
Sure,
I've only had that happen one time ever, and I had a camera on. It was when I was fishing with it was John Barrett's production. It was Chad Foster. There's a show called Fly Fishing America, and we were fishing right outside of Key West, and he hooks this fish, and it jumps, and it goes right through the boat, kind of like yours. Yours was closer to hitting somebody. This one went between the guy standing on the bow and the guy sitting on the cooler, and it just skipped right across the deck of the boat. And it was a hooked fish.
With mine, that was a free jumper.
I know. That's a difference.
That's the strange part.
That's a big difference, is just all of a sudden out of nowhere, a fish just jumps through the boat, where this one was a hooked fish. So that makes a little bit more sense. But, yeah, man, you've had some crazy stuff.
Hey, man, I think you're the one that started the ball rolling for me, getting me involved in the industry, you know, whether directly or indirectly. It definitely got the ball rolling.
Well, you would have done just fine on your own.
No, you never know, man. You know, life is about timing, you know.
Yeah, well, life is about timing. And there were some good times back then, man. David, fishing with you and David.
That was a good time.
Good time,
man. The chiropractor joke was funny.
I still tell people that joke. We're not going to tell it here, but I still tell people that joke. I just told it the other day because somebody said something about it.
Why we couldn't control myself like that?
Somebody said something about a chiropractor, and I started laughing, and I had to tell my friends. I was like, well, it's funny,
hilarious.
But you know what? When you retell it, it's not as funny.
It's not as funny.
No,
it's not as funny. It was the moment.
Yes,
it was the moment with the cameras rolling and everything.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It's hilarious. I don't know if I've ever laughed that hard, but you know, it only makes it worse. It's like when you're in school and they tell you to stop laughing, and you can't. You're going to get in big trouble if you keep laughing, and you just can't stop. And the fact that you're trying to stop makes it even funnier, and then it's just over. Like
you're like in tears trying to stop laughing. you can't do it.
All right, Sam, tell people how they can find you and follow you, support you in any way that they want to.
Just look at me on Instagram. Look up Sam Root. That is the ROOT. Easy enough.
All right, Sam Root. Thanks, man. It's great catching up with you, and we'll do this again.
All right, brother. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.